Welcome back to the show. There's no telling where we'll go. So come and share a laugh on the Imp and Skizz podcast.
So as of this recording, there are actively hermits on the Season 11 server.
It's real.
Doing stuff and things.
Real.
It's crazy. And if people are watching this the day it comes out, tomorrow's the day. All the, we're going to start seeing some videos come out to kick off Season 11 of HermitCraft, which is amazing. And we ended Season 10, what feels like yesterday.
Yeah.
What was it? A month ago?
It was
a month and a half?
It
went by so fast.
A month and a half ago. It went super fast. Well, we were also busy. We went to San Diego, had TwitchCon, all that. We just had that, talked about that last episode. But it was definitely that the time between seasons felt unusually short because we were busy. And also maybe it was actually short. I don't know. But you are correct.
It was pretty short.
Back in motion.
Yeah, it was pretty short. And we're back in motion. And unfortunately, we were in between seasons of the podcast when Season 10 ended. Because typically, I think we would like to recap the season and stuff like that straight away. Mm-hmm. But we were on a break and we thought, you know what? It's not too late. Season 11, we've kind of kicked off, but not, for the viewers yet. We can still talk about Season 10 a little bit, give our perspective on it, a retrospective, if you will. Mm-hmm. And do we want to tell a little bit about what we got going on in Season 11? And we kind of did a little bit in the panel.
At the panel we did. So here's what I'm thinking. So we'll reflect a little bit on Season 10, like you're saying. At the panel, we probably hinted 2% of what we're sort of intending to do. And today, I think we knock it up to maybe 5%, but still, let's not give away the farm. But I like the idea of giving a little foresight in regards to what we're going to be trying to do this season. Because I'll tell you, I'm pretty nervous on my mind. We'll get to it later. But at the same time, we don't want to, like I said, we don't want to give away the farm, but we do want to talk a little bit about what we're going to be trying to do.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd call it a mistake, but at the beginning of Season 10, I kind of just came out the gate and was like, here's the plan. We're going to do this. And it was like a big list, right? And I had all intentions to do it all, and things happen. Life happens and things take longer than you expect and all that. And so I kind of over-promised, under-delivered in a way. And I was kicking myself the whole season as the season ended even for that. And so I do want to try to learn from that and avoid just being like, here's all the things I'm going to accomplish this season straight out the gate and let it build over time. So like you said, we won't give away the farm, but I'm cooking still. There's still a lot in there, and kind of the say none until done. I'm going to have to, it's not my strong suit. It's not my strong suit. This is literally going to take some discipline for me to not just be like, here's all the things I want to do this season, because I don't want to put myself in that situation, but it's hard for me because I'm so excited. I want to tell people I'm so excited.
It's also sort of a catch-22 because you want to let people know, especially episodes 1 and 2, what your intentions are, because we kind of owe it to the audience to make sure that they're going to even be interested. So we don't want to be like, I'm not going to tell you anything I'm going to do. We want to tell a little bit about it, but you're right. It feels awful if you under.
Yeah, it is. You got to find that sweet spot, right? Because I think if there's a new viewer that's coming in and they're like, do I give this person a chance this season? Do I want to watch Skizzleman's season from start to finish? They're going to come in episode 1 and be like, okay, well, let's hear what his plans are, and then I'll make that decision.
Yeah.
So if you don't give your plans, then they don't know what they're signing up for.
Sure.
So you want to give them that. But if you give them too many plans and you don't actually get through all your plans, then it could feel like a bit of a letdown at the end of the season potentially. And that's the way I was kind of feeling last season about what I did. So yeah, it's a very kind of thin line. But we can talk more about that and how much we want to, give to the audience about what some of our plans are for Season 11. But let's go back. Let's go back to Season 10.
Let's go back to Season 10.
What did we do in Season 10?
I know, it's already starting.
My brain does that, right? The second something's over, not that it purges it, but it's just my brain's so with the what's next mentality that I kind of have moved on a little bit. Although,
excuse me.
Sneezy. Although
that's how excited I am.
Although I have been seeing since the World Download has come out, people playing Metro Mayhem and posting scores, and it somehow Metro Mayhem got on speedrunning.com, a website where you can legit track speedrunning scores for lots of games and stuff. It's not the only thing on there. So that's cool. The fact that I made something that people are into as much to compete and actually try to get good times. And some people have gotten insane times. I've watched a few clips on Reddit and stuff where people are, I don't understand. how you get so good at Minecraft, get so good at
I've seen
movement
clips.
skills.
I've seen it, and I'm just like, what in the world am I looking at? You did something great with Metro Mayhem, dude, because it was like I said, the first time I went through it, it was obviously a full chest of nuggets, and I feel like I want to pump the brakes for 2 seconds and acknowledge the fact that we have a good many people who watch this show or listen to our podcast, and they don't play Minecraft. They're not. They might not even be familiar with
HermitCraft,
what HermitCraft is, right? And so
true.
to that end, I think a high majority of our viewers and listeners are. But Minecraft is a game that's a sandbox game that's been around for some time now, and HermitCraft is one of the most, if not, well, it's the most renowned SMP, which is survival multiplayer servers in the world. And we have seasons, and last season was my first one, and it was your 7th one. And now we're moving into season 11. So that's what we're discussing here.
Yeah.
And last season you built Metro Mayhem, which was an underground race.
Yeah. Basically a racing game. Yeah, that's the best way to describe it.
But it was like, it was like racing through a museum. You know what I mean? And it was one of those things to where my first time doing it was so slow, but it was intentionally slow. Because I was just touring a museum. I was going through because it was a throwback to all previous seasons. And it was just, the art was just gorgeous. And the journey was so much fun. I didn't want to be in a hurry. Like to me, it was almost spitting in your face to do it in a hurry. And you made it as a race.
It was so funny because as I was building it, I kept putting in more and more details. And I'm like, no one's ever going to see these details because they're just going to be running straight forward, not looking to their left and right and being like, oh, look somebody spilled oil over there and there's a robot cleaning it up. You know what I mean? Like that was happening in there. There was like lore in the course.
I know.
And like, I'm like, why am I doing this? But it was fun. You know,
it was awesome.
I was having a good time putting in those details. So I didn't stop myself. Unfortunately, what it led to was maybe, I don't know if I can call it scope creep, because I did intend for it to be a good looking thing from the get-go, but how long that took definitely is something that crept up on me because what I figured would be a 6-month project almost ended up taking the entire season. Yeah. You know, I did other stuff, of course, but it was the majority of my season. And so because of that, and then we're talking about, you know, making promises and not getting them all done. That was a big reason why, was because I spent so much time on Metro Mayhem. But, you know, in retrospect, now that we're having a retrospect, it's like I'm not upset with the fact that I didn't get other stuff done, because Metro Mayhem did turn out so good that I can feel pride and feel good about the fact that I even got it done. Yeah. You know, so I look back with like great pride on the season at this point.
Good. You should, because that was a huge undertaking. I remember just when you were just digging out the hole for it. I'm just like, what's going to go in here? Like, it's so massive. And sure enough, it was.
I don't know why I chose Scar's tree from season 5 that required the biggest dig ever just to do one little section of the Hermit History Hall. It was like, I feel like I'm still digging. That was such a big a hole. And then people obviously didn't want to fall to the bottom of it because it was going to take them forever to get to the top. So
they found a way to skirt it, dude.
People were finding shortcuts like crazy, that was fun too. That's part of it.
Yeah. You know? What other things in the season were you enjoying?
Oh, dude, I think early in the season doing there was a street kind of by my base. It was like stalls, like market stalls. I called it Market Street. And I had like a record shop. I had a soup shop. And then Bop and Go was there. Those 3 kind of market stalls were all next to each other. And I remember early season just wanting to try something different, wanting to put a lot more focus into something small and contained and like see how much detail I can fit into a small space. And that was something that I hadn't really done a lot of in Minecraft, was like really try to add a ton of detail in a smaller space. And I think I nailed it. Like, with the soup shop, I was very happy with that. The record shop, well, yeah, it was good, but I feel like I could have done better if I kept going on it. But that was fun. I like the idea of like focusing on smaller details, because I had such a big project in Metro Mayhem that being able to just take something in bite size and be like, I'm going to focus on this. It's like a 10 by 10 area, if that. You know, and I'm just going to focus on this and make everything in here, you know, look good and make sense. And I did stuff with armor stands and all sorts of stuff. So used a lot of like little builder techniques, you know, where you can, you know, use levers to make it look like you're connecting light bars and stuff like that, because of cyberpunk vibe. So that was fun exploring like those different ways of building, because not something, you know, my typical MO, the way I play Minecraft is I'm the automation guy. You know, I'm the caffeinated animated redstone innovator. You know what I mean?
Yes.
That's the line from Hermit Gang. And that's how I lived my Minecraft career. It was like farms and automation and make money, you know, get as many diamonds as you can, all that kind of stuff. And so kind of focusing on detail work and making things look good was not in my repertoire, if you will. And so I got a chance to kind of like work on that and flex that a little bit. And I had a lot of fun doing it.
Good.
Yeah, I have to have a lot of patience. That's
For
the
that
part.
little
That's
stuff.
the part. Yeah, the little stuff takes a lot of time, and it's a small thing. And so it doesn't feel like it should have taken that much time, but it really does to get the details just right.
You know, this is going to sound such a ridiculous example because it's exactly that. It's a ridiculous example, but it's not that far off. It reminds me, just a small example. Have you seen, because we actually saw it at TwitchCon, have you seen when girls do their nails and each individual nail is like extremely detailed with like a character or sometimes a little story or whatever? It reminds me of that. And what I mean by that is all these tiny little intricate little details that just add to the culmination of a bigger energy. And that's what that was. So like you just, sometimes you see things. I go into like Pearl's dye shop. It's just dye. She's just selling dye, but you walk in, it's just beautiful and cozy and warm. And ask me why? I don't know, because she's just that good. She just knows what to put where. And that is something I'm just, I'm not good at. And I want to be. So watching you do what you did on the street with your shops and everything I thought was awesome. And I'm like, look at them go. Like, I know it's not really in your wheelhouse either, but I would argue it is now. It may not be in your wheelhouse, you know, as naturally as it is for some, but it's definitely a skill set you officially have now. And it's that stuff making. This is the thing about Minecraft. I love Minecraft and I hate it also, because I'm like, why do I love a game that I'm so unbelievably inherently bad at? Like, why is that? And so I find if I just pump the brakes and if I just try to do something, I might be able to. And even my little wood shop, there was actually a good amount of detail in that wood shop, and I didn't know what in the world I was doing. But when I was done, I liked the feel of it. And if you ask me why, my answer is I don't know. And that's what I'm going for. It's the same thing as when I don't like something. Why? I don't know. I'm not good. I'm not artistic enough to know why I do or don't like something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I only
it's
know
hard
if
to
I
put your
like
finger
it.
on it. Like, I won't give away what it was, but a friend of ours asked us to give feedback on something recently, and they showed, you know, a picture of what it was. And I was like, it's really good, but it's just missing the wow factor, and I can't tell you why. Like, it didn't hit me like the second I saw it, and I can't tell you why. Yeah, and that's kind of what that is. Like, you just pick up on a vibe. You know,
just pick up on it.
Yeah,
and this is like we've talked about this before, where you and I have an extensive comprehension of professional marching drum lines. We have a very deep acumen for a drum line. Now, people who are not drummers or who have never seen a show, they're going to like a show that's cleaner than a show that isn't. And when you ask them why they liked it, they won't be able to tell you why, but we could tell you why.
Yeah.
It's the same. That's what I mean. Because we have a very deep understanding of that skill set. When I design something on HermitCraft or I see something that I like, I may not be able to say why it's good or bad, but a lot of the people we work with, they can.
Yeah.
They can say exactly why things are good or bad.
Yeah.
You know?
There's some natural talent for sure on the server. And everybody works really hard too. You know, like I was thinking about it, and this skill set of like detailing or whatever, a lot of things were like, oh, I saw somebody do this somewhere else, and then I happened to clock it and put it in my own little tool belt, you know, like put that in the back of my mind and be like, I could use that for later, like take the lever and the light bar thing. Yeah. You know, I saw that somewhere. I probably saw it on a TikTok or something, you know, and I was like, ooh, that would be cool to put here. And then so you kind of collect those things over time. And so you're filling your tool belt with all these things. So when you come to like designing a space, you can be like, oh yeah, like you did that like grill or whatever, like you did like a inside the pyramid when you got towards the top layer. You did this whole like kind of, was it a kitchen area?
It was a kitchen.
Yeah. And you had lots of stuff in there, and I was like, yeah, that seems like something you probably saw somewhere
100%.
And like put that in your tool belt. Yeah. And then like when you came to build that area, you're like, oh, that would go great here.
Yeah.
And you use it. And so I think that like the more you play, the more you see, you get inspired from others. You can kind of like take little bits and kind of put it in your tool belt, and like it's just remembering that those tools are there and what they're used for, and when they're useful, when they're not useful.
Yeah,
it's the hard part, you know.
No, that's fair. And you know, and I think so. When I think about like season 10, did I do what I set out to do? Like, I did. But I mean, I don't know. It's hard to explain. So I did Maslow's pyramid. I did Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and it was an actual pyramid that you traveled from the bottom up, and you started at physiological, you moved into shelter, and so on. And I knew what I wanted to do was to create a physical pyramid that to travel up it, you went through the 5 layers, and each layer was I knew I wanted to do that. I didn't know how I was going to do it. I didn't do anything in creative. Everything was just there on the fly, which is not the way to do. It's not the way to do it.
That's wild to me that you didn't do any of it in creative.
Yeah, that's just, and here's what's funny, dude. Here's the irony of this. This is the honest to God truth. You should do it in creative to make your life easier, right? I don't do it in creative because I don't want to do it twice. That is so dumb. Because in creative, everything's available to you. You can delete, you can move, you can do it. Like do that, design it, understand what you're doing, get it functional, and then take it over and do it in survival. Like I understand that's what my brain's like, you're being so mean to yourself right now because it's so much slower. Yeah, you did it once, but it took you 100 times longer because of all the mistakes you had to, fix. And
having to redo stuff is definitely there. But you're not wrong. Like when you're doing it in creative, that's kind of the fun part, the designing part. You know what I mean? The creative part is kind of the fun part. And then once you have it, like then to like go and redo it is not that fun. You know, so especially because you already know what it is. You know, now it's just a matter of it's like a paint by numbers. You know, especially if you're using tools like Lightmatic or whatever, where it tells you where you place the blocks. You're basically just placing them. There's no creativity, and so it's less. There
was in creative. It's not like you're not creative. You did it all, but you got to do it again.
Yeah. It's almost like we need the best of both worlds somehow, and I don't know how that would work. You know,
that's a great question.
If we had Control Z in survival.
Oh, that'd be good.
Control Z.
Yeah.
So like that one time in season, what season was it? 7, when I built my entire base and then realized I wanted it 1 block up, because I didn't like where the water was meeting the base of it. And so I actually tore it down and moved my entire base up 1 block, like a Control Z in that situation would have been very nice.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Or if in survival we had access to all the blocks and we could fly, that would be good.
Yeah.
This is being creative.
No, there is something to it. Like we've talked about on the podcast, not a Minecraft subject, but like just how you feel good when you put in hard work. You know what I mean? And that's what survival gives you over creative, because you're putting in the hard work to get the blocks, and you're in it, and it's much harder to place the blocks because you have to manage yourself and your inventory and all sorts of things. And there's more of a payoff, like I tell my daughter all the time, you get out what you put in. Yeah. And that's when I'm talking to her, because she's into volleyball right now. And so like whenever she is, I can tell she's like not really feeling like putting in like full effort into a practice, or she doesn't want to go to training or the hard stuff, because in volleyball there's fun stuff and there's hard stuff, like in any sport. There's part where you got to work, you got to do the drills, you got to do the not fun stuff, but it's the work that leads you to get better. And anytime I kind of see that in her eyes, I just say it again. I'm like, you get out what you put in. So right now, if you put in hard work, you're going to get more out of this effort than you would if you weren't putting in that kind of effort into it. And so that's really comes into my thought process when we're doing stuff in survival. We're grinding. We're grinding hard. And it sounds bad. We're playing Minecraft at the end of the day, but it is work. It is tedious, and they're long days of gathering materials and trying to figure out. Some days we place like 10,000 blocks. You know what I mean? It's crazy. Or I dig 10,000 blocks, which is common for me. But it's you get out what you put in. There's that at the pridefulness of having done something big, and the pyramid was big, and you might have built things twice, 3 times, 4 times before you got it right. But every step of the way was also a learning process. It
was, and now that I think about it, there was one piece of the pyramid that I did in creative, and it was the layer 4. It was Esteem, and it was just the color theme of that it was just I made the design during one of our HermitCraft meetings. Like that, I built all of layer 4 during a HermitCraft meeting because I just needed a fast track and I went creative. So I did do something. And once I did it, I could really see the merit of it.
Yeah.
But here's the rub. I did it in creative and I'm not a Lightmatica guy. I don't know how to use it yet, hopefully soon. And I was like, okay, well, I'm just going to go do it. Well, when I built myself the mock-up in creative, I built it one block off. So I went to do it in the real world, and I went to do it in survival. And I'm like, and I had to improvise it because I messed up or whatever. But the bottom line is I could see right then and there, there's so much power to creative.
Yeah.
Just do it.
It can save you some missteps for sure.
A lot of missteps. Yeah.
Let's talk about something that happened before the season even started. You were trying to get a handle on the size of the pyramid.
I was.
And your first stab at it, I think you kind of mocked it up in a little bit in a creative world, to see what it was going to look like in scale. And it was big. It was maybe twice the size of what you ended up with.
The truth is I was on a walk by myself, and during the walk, I do the loop that we typically do. And during the walk, I did all the math of every single layer in my head in regards to, like, during the walk, I came up with the entire schematic, and it was based on what my original dimensions was going to be. And I knew that each layer was going to have 5 layers of 2 high, and they were always going to come one in. And I knew there would be 4 block gap between that and the next one. Like, I knew it in my head, and I thought I knew how big I wanted it to be. And so the math I had in my head, and I knew how high it was going to be in everything, but it wasn't until I started to carve it out that I'm like, it's going to be way too big.
Yeah,
That's
so
way too big.
So you brought down the scale, which meant like the very top layers actually were maybe smaller than you originally anticipated. Do you have any regrets in bringing down the scale, or do you think you ended up at the right scale? Like, if you had to go back and do it again, would you make it any bigger, any smaller? What would you change?
Oh, that's a great question. If I had to go back, I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. Part of me wishes I just stuck with the original scale, but I also think it may have very likely been a bit of an eyesore. I think the size of it was kind of perfect. The size of it, in regards to everything that was around it, it was kind of perfect. And it felt like if it was a little bit bigger, it would have been like, why don't you just put it inside Impulse's city? You know what I mean? With the big buildings and stuff. What's it doing out here? It wouldn't have made any sense. It would have dwarfed Gem stuff. It would have kind of actually dwarfed the mountain that we're in. Like, it wouldn't have made sense, I think.
Yeah.
I could be wrong, but it did get hard to work in it. You know what I mean? It got real hard to work inside it. And it got to the point to where when I was getting to the top layer, which, like you said, self-actualization, there was next to nothing left. From a size standpoint.
We talked about maybe going through a portal into the Nether just to give you more room. You ended up deciding not to go that route.
I decided not to go that route, and I was like, I'm just going to try to get clever here. And I know there's no room, but I'll make it feel like there's infinite room. And so I just did those maps that I got actually from your museum room framing. That was the perfect map because was that the ocean? That was the ocean. Yeah. And so it was nice. And so I was like, it'll just disappear into nothingness. And once I did it, it worked. When people went into it, they're like, where am I? And I'm like, okay, that's sort of kind of the vibe I kind of want. It's kind of weird, Yeah,
it's kind of like a room with mirrors. It makes it bigger.
Yeah. Bigger. And you don't know which way is up type thing. It was supposed to be disorienting, which it very, very much was. Now, I did try, you actually helped me find a way to go through a portal and be somewhere like that was usable because I was afraid I was going to break the postal system, but you found a way to do that. And then once you did that, I went into creative and I started just designing what layer 5 was going to be. And the whole time my brain's like, just make it work, man. You know what I mean? Just make it work. Don't do this, make it work. And so that's why I went back. Yeah.
Yeah. So this was season 10 was your first season as a hermit.
Yep.
Going into the season, did you have any sort of like, not expectations, but like, did you have an idea of how things were going to go? And if so, how different was the actual way the season played out from what you thought it might be?
Good question. That's a very good question. Well, the Popo was a lot of fun. Doing theater a lot as a kid. I liked leaning into a character, and I liked the shenanigans that Scar and I got up to, and being, a couple of incompetent cops for the shopping district. I enjoyed that. And I enjoyed the whole thing was his vision, and it was great. And Green as our lazy manager was amazing. And Cub coming in as the exact opposite of a lazy manager was amazing. Like everything about that journey, I would say exceeded my expectations. And when it came down to what I wanted to do for the server, which was the pyramid, I knew what I was doing was different. I know I'm not known as a builder, and I'm not, that's very, very likely never be the case. And I'm not a redstoner. So if I'm not a builder, I'm not a redstoner, what else is left? You know what I mean? So it was one of those things where I didn't do Mazel's pyramid because I was trying to find my niche. I did it because psychology is a very, very real passion of mine. And I knew what I wanted to do. I knew that if done right, it would be really, really cool. But I also knew that this is you're swinging here. And if not done right, it's going to be really, really stupid. And I knew that going in, and that was kind of scary. You know what I mean? But if there's two strikes and you're at the plate, you don't go down looking, you go down swinging. And so I was like, this is what I want to do. And I think it's going to be good. And I could be wrong here, but I think it's going to be good. I like this idea. And I will say that in my personal opinion, the way a lot of the hermits sort of accepted it and ingested it was that also exceeded my expectations. I wasn't seeing as many people finding it to be as interesting as it is to me. I thought a lot of people would be like, what are you doing? You know what I mean? And I just have to be okay with it. But a lot of people were like, this is actually a really interesting twist. Like a lot of people were like, this is very, very unique. And that made me feel good and made me like, at the same time, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not even joking about this. It's not lost on me. You give me the building skill set of gem or pearl or scar, and give me the redstone prowess of you or Tango or Etho, and then let me do what's actually in my head, and it would be talked about worldwide. You know what I mean? But the bottom line is it's a good idea what I did, but I had to just kind of patch it together with my stupid, crappy skill set I have.
It's always going to feel that way. That never changes no matter what your skill
level. I know, you're right,
because
Steven Tango second guesses himself. What an idiot. He's the most sharpest guy in the world when it comes to this, and he second guesses everything. So you're right.
Yeah, so that being your first season, you don't really have a lot to compare your journey on from previous seasons. But I can tell you, being in, like you said, that was like my 7th season or 6.5, whatever. I can tell you that season was different from all the hermits' perspective, because we'd gotten to a point, because this was the way kind of like the Minecraft YouTube world was going, bigger, more progress per episode, hyper speed, time lapses and stuff like that. And we were going that route, trying to stay with the algorithm and with what the viewers were looking for, it seemed like, on YouTube. And we started going mega bases and all huge builds and stuff like that. And we did that for multiple seasons. We had amazing, huge builds, and it was awe-inspiring to show the world what we were capable of. It was a lot of work. But because we were so focused on those big builds and what it would take to make those big builds, we spent a lot of time in our own little isolated bubbles. And we had this kind of crazy aha moment in season 9 when we were all just hanging out, putting grass over Doc's perimeter as a prank. That we were just hanging out and having a good time and talking about nothing yet everything all at once. Somehow that we realized, like, we've been together for so many years that we are actual friends. Like, and I don't know why it took that to kind of click, that we're not just coworkers, we're not just fellow YouTubers. You know what I mean? Like, we're actually friends. We've built some really strong friendships, even in this like online world where we hadn't seen a lot of each other in person, just a few events here and there. To kind of get to know each other, but nothing substantial. And we thought, going into season 10, let's spend more time together on the server, just hanging out, and almost like podcasts, in a way, to where we would just get together and we would stand in a circle, and we do this a lot on stream and stuff. And we wanted to really kind of slow things down, take focus off of like these mega builds that were going to put us in our isolated bubbles, and just hang out and enjoy each other's company more. And so we made a decision to slow the season down. And that's what we did. So you came into actually probably a great time
Yeah.
for you, because if you had come into the mega base era, that I could imagine being in your spot, not the builder, not the redstoner, like, and everybody's in their solo bubbles worrying about their big structures they're building. What would you have done with yourself?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so the fact that it was a much more social directed season, I think worked out quite well for you.
Yeah. No, that definitely boded well for me. And there were so many great moments of people just collaborating and just doing silly stuff because people were leaning into that. Like you said, it's a group of friends and they were remembering that they actually are friends and they were acting accordingly. And that's good. That's good. I think that's healthy, and I don't know exactly what this season is going to end up looking like, season 11, because are people going to want to do the same thing? You know what I mean? Are they going to fast track? I mean, what are we going to do?
I feel like what we are witnessing is something that's common in life is pendulum swinging, right? So the pendulum swung all the way to the mega builds and the kind of solo, look what I can do era. And it kind of like swung back completely the other way to where it was like, let's just hang out, have fun, have a slow season. Like a lot of cool stuff still got built, but it was kind of swung maybe slightly past middle to that side. And I feel like we're going to work to kind of get it back into like a middle ground to where you'll see like some really cool builds, but you'll also see still a lot of social happening, maybe a little bit less potentially. I don't know. Mm-hmm. But I feel like it is, as most things in life, like a pendulum.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's fair. And so we'll have to see. And so, all right, let's talk a little bit.
All right. What are we talking about?
Season 11.
Well, we had the panel.
How much of the curtain do you want to peel back here?
Oh, I'm gonna give every single plan so much that there's no way I'm gonna actually get it all done. And no, I'll keep some stuff at bay, but I'm very excited. I did reveal at the panel that I'm going with like a silo theme, I guess, if you will. And it's I watched the series Silo on Apple TV. I haven't read the books. Which I should do apparently. I've heard a lot of good things, but I really like the series. But it wasn't that I watched the series and then I was like, "Oh, that's cool. I want to build that." It was kind of the other way. It was I have a reason to do that, and oh yeah, I watched a show that's cool. Let me kind of marry the two. And what I mean by that is I want to continue the lore of the story that I started in season 10. So Pixel Pulse Valley, my cyberpunk city, had lore behind it. There was a whole short story that I wrote, and I had an animator animate it and a narrator, voice actor actually read the story and the whole thing. It was great. I have a really great clip. I think I put it in even my last episode to show it one more time. But the idea was that there was this city, and the AI revolution was happening. The AI bots, discovered they wanted autonomy, and so they revolted against the humans that were their, in their eyes, captors, and they were working for whatever. They were done doing it, and there was a fight. Generator exploded as a way to kill them all off, and the city was depowered basically, and it needed to be repaired. And the idea was, lore-wise, that I was going to make these games where they could collect the parts to the generator after it had exploded to repair it, and then at the end of the day, the city would be revived. Well, as we know, I didn't get to that part because Metro Mayhem was one game of what was supposed to be like 8.
Okay.
So now that story's finished. Season 10's finished. The city didn't get repaired. The generator didn't get repaired. The people had evacuated the city because the war was going on. So they evacuated to be safe from the AI revolution that was happening. And now the city didn't get repaired. So now they're moving on. They're leaving the city. And that's what season 11's about. Where do these people go, and how do they survive now? And what did they have? What did they carry, their baggage basically from their past about being scared of AI and that technology that had been developed? How do they find a new way of living with new technology that's not going to lead to the same kind of thing? And that's where I came up with the idea of Silo, because that underground kind of bunker, is kind of their baggage that they're carrying, their little traumatic experience, and now they're trying to protect themselves from having it happen again. And so that's what the deal is. They're going to live in a silo, and we'll see some kind of bits of sprinkled of lore in there to kind of reminisce. And so it's kind of like the part 2 of the story, the next chapter.
I like that. And if you're listening and you haven't seen Silo, check it out. What a show that is.
It's really good. Yeah. Visually is the main thing. I'm not going to like copy the Silo story necessarily.
No, I know that.
It's the visual of the structure underground
absolutely.
that I will be working towards recreating, but the lore of what people do in that will be very different than.
Do you think you're going to keep it real, like aesthetically dark the way it is in Silo? And
yes and no. I have some plans. I'm not going to reveal that part because I think there's a twist in there that I'm super excited about, and I want to reveal naturally as the season progresses. But it will be different than Silo. Silo is almost totally post-apocalyptic in a way, to where it's not going to be totally post-apocalyptic. I know that probably doesn't make sense, but you'll see.
It'll make sense.
Yeah, it will make sense. Like new technologies will be discovered that make it different. So it's going to be good.
That's a big undertaking.
I'm excited for it. I'm very excited. I'm back in the stage, and this happens to me almost every season, to where I get so excited at the beginning of the season because all these ideas are just like coming at me all at once that I have a hard time sleeping. So like it took me like a couple hours to get to sleep, and then I woke up an hour early because as soon as I open my eyes, my brain just starts going.
Yeah.
So that's definitely happening, which is exciting. Now it's just a matter of doing it, of getting it done and showing, like you said, it's hard to get what's in our brains out.
It is. And that's where I'm this one. And I'll be talking about this in my first episode and everything too. Which, like you said, comes out tomorrow or maybe the next day or so. I'm pretty scared about my idea because it's like, but I'm feeling very similar as what I did last year with Maslow's Pyramid. I was worried about it. Is this going to be stupid? Is this going to be too much? Am I not going to be able to pull this off? And I'm going to be sticking along the similar lines of the psychological gig, right? We talked a little bit about this at the panel at TwitchCon. I like it. I like that being my shtick, and I didn't believe to the point to where I knew that I was going to do what I'm about to tell you. I knew that I was going to do something like what I'm about to tell you when we were maybe only 10% into last season.
Wow.
I knew what I was working on for last season, but I'm like, next season I'm going to do this, and it's going to be real tough. It's going to be to the point to where I'm like, now part of me is like, don't even try it. You know what I mean? Because that's going to be too cryptic, too esoteric, but I'm going to try it. But my thing I'm going to be doing is I want to really lean into Carl Jung's shadow work. And this is something to where I was vaguely familiar with it. And then I did more research, and I've just been doing nothing but research. And I like listening to podcasts and reading and doing all this stuff, just trying to get as in tune as possible with Carl Jung's shadow work. And I would say I understand maybe at around 15% of what he's trying to get at, because it really is that deep. And I'm also going to be keeping it simple, right? There's so much that goes into this. And just as I said, the disclaimer I gave about Maslow's Pyramid was, I built this thing. It's reflecting what the hierarchy of needs is, but this is not what. Yeah,
very watered down.
This is as watered down as it can get.
Something that's digestible in Minecraft YouTube videos.
That's correct. You have to water it way down for it to even be passable, right? And so I'm going to have to do that tenfold with this one here, because the idea being that I'm going to keep it to 3 stages, which is just going to be persona, ego, and the shadow. And what Carl Jung's talking about is persona is us right now. It's how you perceive yourself. It's how others perceive you. It's just the surface level of who we are. And the ego is a lot of the inner thoughts that you have that you don't necessarily share with the thoughts and desires that you kind of keep internal, that you don't really share with people. And then your shadow is broken up into 2 pieces. One is the part of you that lies dormant. It could be repressed memories, but it's also that's your self shadow. Then there's a collective shadow, which is just part of your DNA. The fight or flight is an example, but it's a really ridiculous example. There's more in there that is just it is a part of who you are today, whether you like it or not. There's what I'm doing right now with my hands, with my body, the way I talk to you. A lot of it is just byproducts of down there in the ego, further down into the shadow. and we don't have full control over that. And the premise of what Carl Jung's getting to is that if we could become one with our shadow, we would better understand ourselves. So that is something I want to do. But more than that, I think everybody knows my favorite band in the world is Tool, and the song 46 and 2 is about this. And I want to use that song as just little bits and pieces. I almost want to make what I'm going to do and then sprinkle the song on it, just with a little bit of the tip of the cap, just little pieces of the song. And I actually, my very last thing I did in my season finale last year was I said, the screen went black in my finale, and I said, I'll see you next year. And then the words very briefly faded in of, and we'll soften this old armor, which is one line from 46 and 2. And what I want to do is find a way to marry the two somehow, right? But it's just going to be, the music part's going to be a supplemental thing of it, right? But it's interesting because the way Maynard wrote that song was to really lean into what Carl Jung was saying, that if we can get in touch with our shadow and fully understand it, we're going to transcend. Like there's a possibility we'll transcend into a different human. And why 46 and 2? What's that all about, right? And that's because there's very few people left on the world who their chromosome makeup is 42 and 2. You have your two sex chromosomes, and then the 42 chromosomes that make up the rest of you. I forget the name of them. And those are people who they just feel like there's no individualism. They're a cell in a body. And
Borg.
They feel, they what?
The Borg from Star Trek.
They're just one species that they're all part of. They feel like when somebody over here hurts, they feel it because they're all part of this thing. There's no individualism. And then currently now our chromosome makeup right now is 44 and 2. To where we actually have been individualized. We recognize that I am my own person. I am my own entity. I make my own decisions. And just my own personal opinion, a little bit to mankind's demise, because we turns out we're a pretty greedy bunch, right? And so that's sort of like where this like kind of falls apart or whatever. That's where you and I are at. The rest of the world is at. And the idea being that if we could get in touch with our shadow, meaning really understanding what motivates us, like we don't even know what motivates us. We just know we're motivated. But where is this coming from? Like, what is this? If we could really get in touch with that, then in theory, we would transcend into a new type of human. And we'd actually be 46 and 2, 46 chromosomes and 2 sex chromosomes. And that's the whole, like, that's the shtick of it, right? Now, let me be very clear here, and I'll be clear on my episode too. None of this is proven. You know what I mean? This is all this theory, and I'm aware of that. And I'm also afraid I'm going to butcher it because I find it extremely fascinating. Carl Jung was a Swiss philosopher and Swiss psychologist who was a direct prodigy of Sigmund Freud. And as he went up in his career, Freud wanted Jung to sort of be his protege and like take over all of his work, but Carl Jung realized that he didn't quite agree with everything that Freud was going for. He agreed with a lot of it, but there was a lot that he was like, no, I don't think it's that. I don't think you're being a little myopic on this. And so they split ways, and Jung went on his way and really focused on the shadow work with the idea of he wasn't just making this up. It was just through just painstaking years of research and countless patients and studying their dreams and studying everything about them and realizing like, everybody just seems to have this internal beast or energy inside us that we can't quite put our finger on. But if we could understand it better, then maybe there's a better tomorrow. And it all goes back to healing the mind, which is what makes psychology so fascinating, right? When it came to healing the body, we tried all sorts of stuff. Oh yeah. Put some dirt on it, put some leeches on it. I don't know. And we failed a lot. And then we learned a lot. We're still learning. We're still learning. But the leaps and strides we've come from back in that is amazing. So it can be argued. It's the same thing when it comes to the brain. Like you go to try to fix something or figure it out. You're still swinging. I don't know. Maybe it's very complicated. And it can be argued the brain is 1 billion times more complicated than skin cells. So that's where it's fascinating to me is that Jung really, really making his life about understanding the shadow. Now, there's so much more to it. I've given you 1.5% of what it is. I'm not going to really be going into all the different archetypes that are inside the shadow, and he breaks it down to a very, very fine level. that's too much. So I'm just going to, what I want to do is create something that takes somebody through a journey of those 3 layers all the way to the shadow, while sprinkling in a little bit of 46-2 where I can without being copyright striked.
Yeah, I was going to say that's going to be tough, but I can see why you're nervous. Like translating that into Minecraft, I don't even know where to start with that.
It's so going to be tough.
Because you're trying to produce an experience that's going to make people think, while they're playing Minecraft, like that's going to be a tough thing. But you proved that you had the capability to do it with Maslow's pyramid. You took us on a psychological journey, and it was very different, very out of the box thinking from, like the most of the hermits on the server. We've been doing this for years and never been taken on an experience like that, and that's why we love the idea of bringing in people with fresh ideas, like you're brand new this season and you came in and you didn't try to assimilate and do what everybody else was doing. You stayed true to yourself. You stayed true to your passion, which is psychology, and you found a way to make it work. And I'm sure you'll find a way to present the shadow work in Minecraft. And I can't wait. I don't know if it's like a minecart ride, or I'm envisioning different things. I'm all over the place and I have no idea where you're going to go, and you don't have to say.
No.
But
I have ideas like you. I sit up at night, and unfortunately, your ideas seem to be flooding you, and my ideas are starving me, because I'm like, I know high level what I want to do, but this is so cryptic that I'm not coming up with a whole lot of ideas on how to pull this off. I don't have no ideas. I do have some ideas, and I have already been experimenting and all that, but big part of me is like, you know what, dude, I think I might need to cry uncle a little bit on this one and get some true artists in there, because this is going to be a sit back and watch journey. This is not a competition. This is not a race. The instructions are going to be, you can move your mouse, don't click, don't hit shift, don't move. You know what I mean? Just watch and experience, listen, hear, just see.
Okay.
And in order to do that, I don't have the skill set to pull off a lot of the visuals I want. So I'm either going to be asking somebody to partner with me on some of the aesthetics, or I'm going to be asking them to partner with me on teaching me the vibe of the aesthetic I'm trying to pull off. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, that feel that it's like, we don't know why we like it, but we like it. You need somebody that understands what it takes to make that feel.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, that's gonna be a good undertaking.
Hopefully. This might be awful.
Yeah.
It might be so stupid. And I don't know. I'm not, because I'm afraid it might be stupid. It's never been enough for me not to do something.
Yeah.
I'm going to give it a go.
And here we are. I mean, we are here talking about our personal projects for season 11. These are personal projects, but a season will entail much, much more. The social vibe
100%.
is not going away. Like I said, I think pendulum wise, we may try to find the middle a little bit more. It's not going away by any means. There's still going to be a ton of that, and all the other shenanigans and potential storylines that can come up. Like, one of the things that's nice about HermitCraft is a lot of times some of the best storylines are the ones that no one ever saw coming. Just one little catalyst will do it. Like one day in season 6, Cleo changed some words on a sign, and next thing you know, there's a civil war. You know what I mean? And a diss track. Things will escalate naturally along the way, and I can't wait for those to come. And that's always fun, trying to balance this is my goals for the season with, I want to also be part of whatever is going on in server-wide events and things like that. And so I think we'll find ourselves in that space. You had a chance to see a little bit of that. You when the season started, you had no idea Popo was coming.
Right.
I don't even think. I think when the season started, we may have heard that there might be like a permit system, but we didn't really know what that would entail, and I didn't think for a second that it was going to lead to some kind of storyline that would lead people to be exiled tens of thousands of blocks away. And, you know what I mean? Like none of that's like pre-planned when the season starts, and so. That's the part I get excited about.
Me
is
too.
The unknown of what's coming.
Yes. And it was to the point to where I was so consumed in the Popo story, I was neglecting the crap out of the pyramid. Like, and I actually did a thing where I did a bit on how I forgot about the pyramid, and I'm back. Hello, darkness, my old friend. I did that whole intro because I'm like, this is like my season-long project, and I literally haven't touched it in like 3 episodes. I got to get back at it.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that will pull you away, but those are fun things, and it's nice to be flexible enough to allow yourself to get swooped away from whatever it is you're hard focused on at the time, and that's going to happen for sure. So, you know, in my mind, I'm like, oh, I'll have the whole silo built in a couple months, but no, they'll be just like Metro Mayhem took way longer because so many things happened in the middle of it. I'm sure the same thing will happen this season, and I'm okay with that. You know?
Yeah. You know what else I want to do this season? I'm going to tell you right now. I want to make my own
netherite beacon.
No, I want to make
any Minecrafters know. No, that's a crazy task.
That was a Jevin thing, didn't he?
Jevin went for it, and I don't think he enjoyed the task very much. I think it took him all season, and he was like
so rough.
Dead by the end of it.
That would be rough. I want to make my own Go Touch Grass, and not that game, but I'm saying like. That game, I think that you thought you were just being silly. Like you made this silly little game. That was one of the most charming, cutest games I've ever played in my entire life. And it was your shop that you got screwed on that permit. Grass. Really? Did you make a single diamond on that? Because I
think I sold one shulker box of grass the whole season.
It's so bad. But you found a way to make a game out of it. And it was like that game was so much fun, and it was like, and I wanted to be so good at it, and the music was so good, and you're like everything about it was so take a load off. That's what it was. You know what I mean? You come into my shop, your shop, and you obviously need something. Why don't you stop working? Why don't you stop shopping? Why don't you stop doing? And why don't you just come take a load off and just play this silly game? And I couldn't get enough of it. I just loved it so much. I would like to make a mini game that makes people feel the way I felt playing Go Touch Grass. And I think that I'm not a redstone guy, but I think I've got enough redstone depth to do that. I definitely have the contacts if I need them. I just want to that's something I want to like make. That's very big to me. I will say it right now. If I don't make some kind of mini game, a proper mini game by the end of the season, then I don't care how good my season-long project was. I feel like I failed because that's something I want to do.
Okay.
I want people to be like, I want to build one thing that makes people go like, dude, that was fun.
At the moment, do you have any sort of spark for an idea of a mini game, or is this something you're hoping will come to you?
I do have a couple, but they just sort of like flutter in and flutter out type thing. The answer is yes, I do, but I have ironed out nothing. Mm-hmm. I haven't probably been like, I know what it is, well, I'm going to do it. They're always coming in. I see one thing and I'm like, oh my God, you know what? And we all do it. So the answer is yes, I do, but I've fleshed out nothing.
Yeah, I don't have any mini games in mind at the moment, but I definitely don't see a full season going by without me making at least one mini game.
Yeah,
it's one of my favorite things to do. I years ago I made a standalone video on how to make mini games in Minecraft.
Wow.
Because I was so into it, and I think that was when I was having a lot of fun with shooting things that were derailed, shooting mine carts in the air, and then I did a thing with armor stands where you shoot those, and I like archery. I like shooting a bow. I think that's one of the most fun skill sets. Like
one of the ones I have.
In MCC, whenever I have to do any kind of like PvP thing, like player versus player, I'm like, just give me a bow and let me sit up in the balcony and pick people off. Yeah. Like that's all I want to do. I did it in Meltdown. I did it in Battle Box. I'm always the bow guy. And so when it comes to mini games that have, I like that idea of, and so I feel like if I do make a mini game, it's going to have something to do with a bow.
It's okay.
Something where you're firing arrows, maybe.
Something where, okay, I do have something, and it's a twist off of a really fun game me and my childhood friends used to play when we were kids. And it is, is it a bad idea to say what the idea is? Is that a good or bad idea?
Just go for it. I think what's going to happen is you're going to give the idea and you're immediately going to get a lot of people going, I like that. And then here's more ideas to stack on. So really at this point, it's dependent on how well you will receive other people's ideas to stack onto your idea, or if you want to keep it all you.
It's worse than that. I'm afraid people be like, dude, that actually sounds like so much fun. They're just going to build it. And now next thing you know, I'm building something that somebody already created.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's such a silly concern.
I get that. I get that a lot, where I have something in my head that I'm going to do and I never said anything about it. And then somebody in my comments will say, oh, you should do this. And it's exactly what's in my head. And my head goes, well, now when I do it, that person's going to think I took their idea.
That's what I'm saying.
You know what I mean? And so then I struggle. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I totally get your hesitation to want to reveal that. So I'll leave it up to you.
I'm going to leave. I'll just leave it. I think I'm going to leave it. But I will say it will be a version of shooting. It will probably be snowballs. And it will probably...
You're still trying to get rid of the snowballs from last season. That's it. That's all you're doing. I mean, you had to put a 6-7 on my building at the end of the season just to use snow blocks to...
You know what's amazing about that, dude? The 6-7 garbage is that when I did the 6-7, I still then, before I made it, while I was making it, after, and today, no idea what 6-7 is. Don't know. Don't care. I just knew that it was a thing that was like silly and I'm just going to do it. But the best part is, if you go back like 5 episodes before that one, maybe more, I had not played with the crafter yet. And I knew I wanted to. So I played with the crafter and I made this like AFK thing where it was easy peasy, right? Ton of snowballs and would self-craft it and make blocks. So I played with it and I AFK'd for a little bit. Came back, there were so many blocks, dude. So many. I'm like, oh, what am I going to do? So even in the episode, I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to do with all these blocks. I have no idea. Something. I'll figure it out. I'm like, I'm waiting for something to strike me. And then that did, because I'm like, I can prank impulse and it's easy to clean up. Yeah. Which was something that we talked about.
That was nice because I literally had cleaned it up on the last day of the server running. Yeah, because that was the only time I had. Because I got back from a vacation on the last day the server was shutting down. So I cleaned it up then.
Yeah, exactly. That's what, and now we actually talked about the panel that we did in TwitchCon was the proper prank etiquette. Mm-hmm. Like pranks are fun. Like they're fun, but you got to know when you're crossing the line.
Just blow somebody's base up.
That's what I'm saying.
Just blow it up.
You can't go up to your coworker and throw your hot coffee in their face and say prank. Like you got to know what the level is, right? So I was like, dude, this is perfect. Because I'll have this big monstrosity on top of his building that he'll be able to clean up in 2 minutes because it's snow blocks.
And you left a sweet little note in there too. So.
Yeah, a little note from my buddy.
Get me crying on my last day on the server. Thanks, buddy. Man. So yeah, there we go. I mean, a lot to look forward to in season 11. So much so that I'm sitting here going, oh my gosh, I'm having FOMO right now because I know there's hermits on the server right now that I want to go and hang out with and interact with and be hyped about the season kicking off. So as much as I hate to do this, I think this is a good spot to just wrap this one up. It might be a little bit shorter.
Well, I'm going to end up giving too much away. I don't know.
That's the thing. We want to save a little bit of mystery and that way you guys are hyped. But there's a little taste of what our ideas are for the season, and there's going to be so much more that we don't even see coming. That's so super exciting. So
make sure you're checking it out.
Yeah.
Always watch my episode. Always watch his episode.
You can watch mine after his. That's
always
fine. Just make sure you do.
Our episodes to people and say that they have to forward them or they're going to have bad luck. I hate that meme so much. Don't do that. Don't do that. But hopefully
tell
you
your
guys
friends if you enjoy it. I mean, why not? Talk about how much you love HermitCraft. I mean, at this point, we're a strong group having a great time, and I think we produce a lot of great stuff. So if you're enjoying it, tell your friends. Get the word out because YouTube's tough these days with the algorithms. So,
but we'll be back at it. So we'll see you on HermitCraft, and we'll see you next time.
See you guys.